Okay, this is video 6. We're still talking about National Beef, the drug sellers that are going on there, and the illegal stuff that goes on there. We left off video 5 whenever we started talking about Mark Jennings, who was working there. Now, I worked in the shipping department there. You would start out as a loader, so you'd be taking the boxes off, putting them in the truck. Then you become a picker, where you go and get the boxes on pallets or send them down a conveyor belt system to the truck in order to be loaded into the truck. And then you become a manifester, where you actually record the weights of all the product. You make sure the correct product gets put on the truck, and so you're over the loaders and over the pickers. Um, Whenever I was working there, there was a person by the name of Mark Jennings working there. He was into drugs, any and all kinds of drugs. He had attacked me. Of course, once again, I've already been attacked by these law department people, uh, and by these law-breaking druggies to not tell on them, or they just deny it and attack me. That has went on ever since I was a little child. And so there's all these law-breaking things going on. Uh, but even whenever I have tried to go to the law department, they have attacked me. So the things I'm telling you, they can't say no, they don't know about, or I never did tell. Uh, some of them may do that, but that would obviously be the ones that would then mind deny it and say, no, he's the one who's all wrong, type stuff. But anyway, so talking about this Mark Jennings, um, now one person even said that whenever he was staying at, renting or staying or visiting Mark Jennings at his house, uh, that whenever Mark Jennings wasn't there one day or something, that he had actually saw a badge. Now, that could mean several things. He did not describe the badge to me. Maybe Mark Jennings was in, maybe he stole the badge from police at one time or another, because he was into drugs, he was into stealing, he was into all kinds of bad things, and attacking people illegally. Uh, he would go about telling two different people at National Beef, hey, this guy called you a blah 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 name, and he wants to meet you after work and fight. And then he'd go tell the other one, hey, that guy said that you're a blah 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 blah. He wants to meet you after work and fight. Hey, you want me to go tell him? Yeah, you'll take him up on it and all this da 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 da. And so he would start fights in between other people and be laughing because neither one of them said bad about either one until he made up the lies. And uh, he's a very, very devious person, very, very bad person. He could even be in the government doing those things because they are very bad, or maybe he was even a police officer at one time somewhere else. I don't know what the badge was about, whether he stole it or what, but he was also against the government. When working at National Beef, of course, like everybody else, he probably was a loader. Now, a lot of times there at National Beef, boxes of meat would get busted open due to the large capacity of beef that goes through there. The meat would get out. It was all in plastic bags. Sometimes, though, these plastic bags, although vacuum sealed, would get busted. Now, the process, the majority of the time, which I believe is also all illegal according to health officials and OSHA, but National Beef would ignore it. Whenever you would tell the bosses, Harry King and their bosses, about it, they would just ignore it and say no. And so we would be instructed that if a box did get busted open, if the plastic was busted open, just to use tape, tape up the plastic a little bit, tape up the box, and go ahead and load it anyway. Uh, this is a very big health concern. Sometimes you would even see boxes of meat busted all over the floor. I mean, you're talking about 40, 50 boxes that had fell down from 2 or 3 levels up in the air, clear down to the ground, busted, meat laying on the floor, exposed to the floor. And then they would send this meat, once the meat had got on the floor and got all dirty, then they would put it in gondolas, run it back through the meat department, washing it off, or possibly cutting some of the damage off, repackaging it, and sending it out all over the United States of America to stores in America and to the armed services of the United States government. Now then, anyway, so then Mark Jennings became a picker, and of course at the time I was a manifester, so I was over these other people, but he was not a picker for me. So he would go up and down these different levels and be getting this product to then be sending down to these other people. Well, anyway, to make the long story a little bit shorter, because so that we don't run out of time here, we would go to break. Now, sometimes whenever you go to break, you'd go through the upper levels to then go down the stairs at the other end of the massive buildings, or sometimes you would, walk down the bottom floor. But sometimes whenever you would return by walking up the stairs at the other end and coming back. Well, as a manifester, making sure that there was all the product, sometimes you would go through the levels checking to make sure that you had the product and where it was, so that you could also try to give your pickers tips of, hey, this stuff is not on this level no more, they moved it to another level, so that the job could get done quicker. Well, I was returning from break one day, and I walked into one of the levels, and I had returned early so that I could do this, but I saw somebody way at the back. And so I kind of looked down in between the boxes through these long aisles, and I could see somebody, but they had their wiener out pissing. Okay, I am like thinking, wow. So I go, because there was restrooms, so I go walking down this aisle. Now, just as I turn the corner, there is Mark Jennings taping up the box and putting the box back in the stack. Now, I'm thinking he's going to lie and deny this if I confront him, or he's going to beat the crap out of me and possibly try to kill me dead, throwing me down several levels and say that it was an accident. But what surprised me most of all was, I said, hey, how's it going? He said, okay, how's it going? But then he came right out and flat told me. And of course, he was a drug user. He shot up drugs. He showed me his arm, and he had all these needle marks. His arm was all yellow. He says, I love being a picker now, because as a loader, it was really tough to be poisoning these people. But as a picker, I got a lot of free time to be trying to be poisoning these people. And now as a picker, I can even see where the meat products are going. Or maybe he had already become a manifester as me. Maybe that's how he knew where the products was going to be going. He was no longer even a picker. And so maybe he was bragging about being a manifester, because then he could see where these products were going. And his exact words were, used to, I would come and I would piss in these boxes because it was one of the hepatitises. I don't know which one it was, hepatitis A, B, C, or whatever, that is non-cure, what he said, but it also can be passed on to other people and you die. And so he was poisoning the public to kill any of the public by pissing on these meats. He would open the boxes, put a hole in it, piss in it, then tape it up, and tape up the box and put it on the shelf again, so that other people would distribute it, so that it wouldn't know that it was on his load. But also, even whenever he became a manifester, I believe that is how he did know that where it was going. But his exact words then after that was, I can tell whenever my load is going to one of the armed services of America, meaning an Air Force base, Army base, Marines, because it had their names listed on there. Okay, now we're going to move on to video number 7 possibly now to talk more about this, because I'm running out of time.